This is integrated 3. It's problem CL-120. It says complete the square to change the following equations to graphing form, then sketch the graph of each equation. So this is a parabola, so it's got an x squared on it, and this one's going to be a circle. And I'm supposed to complete the square, get my graphing form, and then sketch. So the first one's a parabola. So graphing form of a parabola is y equals x minus h squared plus k. And remember, h and k, h is the horizontal shift and k is the vertical shift. So you guys maybe remember learning how to complete the square with tiles. You can say that you have this right here is an x squared tile, and we actually have little colored tiles that you can model this with, and then there would be 1, 2, 3, 4 of the long skinny X tiles, and then there would be 6 of these unit tiles, but you only need 4 of them to be able to make a perfect square, so you'd have these extra 2. And so that would give you this, and this is actually the equation that you want. To show you how to do it without the tiles, the math would look like this. You'd go like this. And then you're going to leave an empty, actually, start over. You go like this. So if you're not going to use the tile method, then you would, you know you have to get a perfect square over here. So whatever's over here, like the ones, just take them to the other side like this. And then leave a blank spot right here, and that's where you're going to put your perfect complete the square number. So what number do I need to complete a square on this right hand side? Well, you take half of the coefficient of x, which is 2, and you square it. So 2 squared, that's 4. So you're going to add 4 to both sides. And you can kind of verify that because that is what you needed right here, isn't it? You needed 4. So if you add 4 to both sides, because if you add it over here, you have to add it over here, then you'll end up with y minus 2 equals, well, this whole thing is a perfect little, it's set up perfectly to make a perfect square, and we already know what the perfect square is going to be. It's going to be x plus 2 times x plus 2. So this is, you can write it as x plus 2 squared. And then you just move the 2 over to the other side. So we get y equals, okay, it's just, I'm just showing you the 2 different ways to do it. Anyway, we have it in graphing form. So now we have to graph it. So please, 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 when you're graphing, I mean, there are some cases when you don't, maybe you don't have to use graph paper, but I would prefer if you please use graph paper. If you can count by ones instead of 5s or 10s or something, that usually is nice. Also, if you have enough room, you need to label a y-axis, label an x-axis, and I want your graph to have some information on it. Like in this case, since it's a parabola, I want the vertex and some intercepts, like an x-intercept and a y-intercept. So the vertex we can get, remember it was x minus h squared plus k, and remember these 2 numbers give us the vertical and horizontal shift. So this one's going to be moved, it's x minus h, so that's x minus negative 2 would give me that. So this is going to go left by 2 and up by 2. So left 2, up 2. Okay, just use the lines that are on the graph paper already. And then I know you're counting by ones. Okay, and then that's your vertex. And then what's an intercept? Well, you can kind of just look right here. If I plug in 0, you know, because the y-intercept will happen when x equals 0, then I get a y-intercept at 6. Okay, I'm just counting the lines, and that's that's fine. And then I'm just gonna use the symmetry of the graph since I know this is the middle, this is the axis of symmetry. I'm gonna just count over to the left of the axis of symmetry, and that's enough to give me a sketch of my parabola. Okay, so there's my graph of my parabola. So that was for letter A. And then now let's do letter B. Letter B is, we said we thought it was a circle. So this one's a little tougher, but it said where our directions were to complete the square to get it into graphing form and then graph it. Okay, so I'm going to complete the square. I have an x squared tile and 6x tiles. So if I were to arrange them to make a square, I'd have 3x tiles on each side. And 3 squared is 9. So the number that I need to complete the square right here, I'll write it in a different color, is 9. So if I add 9 here, I have to add 9 to the other side of the equation. And then the number I would need to complete the square here, I have a big square y, or a big y squared tile, and then I would have 8 negative y tiles. So I'd have half of them on one side, half the other side. So I'd have -4 squared, and that gives me 16. I have to add 16 to both sides. So this right here is going to give me a perfect square, and the perfect square that it gives me is x plus, you take half of this number, 3. And then this one's going to make a perfect square, just like in the picture I made on the last, on letter A. This will be y minus, what's half of this? 4 equals, and then 9 plus 16 is 25. And so that's r squared. So r is 5. So this is sufficient for the graphing form. And then I'm just going to go ahead and graph my circle. I'll just graph it on a different part of the paper, on a different graph. Okay, I'm going to label my y. I'm going to have an axes here. I'm going to, on a circle, mostly I think I just want you to give me the center of the circle. So the center is going to be H and K. So remember, it's a horizontal and a vertical shift. So that must be a -3 because it's x minus -3 would give me a +3. So that means I'm going to go 3 to the left because H is -3. 3 to the left, let's do that. Just count by ones. And this is going to be 4 up because K is 4. Y minus 4. K is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you just count by ones, then you don't have to confuse people and you don't have to write all the numbers all over the place. Okay, and then what is my radius? My radius is 5. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go 5 to the right, 5 to the left, 5 up, and 5 down. And I'm not going to be super concerned about having the exact y and x intercepts on this one. I'm going to say that for a sketch, it's sufficient, that I think this is a sufficient sketch for me. Okay, if you want to find your x and y intercepts, you can plug 0 in for x and get the y-intercept and the y-intercepts, and you can plug in 0 for y to get the x-intercept. But I would be happy if you just give me this. Okay, that's it.